In a distant future, a world divided, a walled city in a devastated wasteland. A struggle for power becomes a struggle to survive. With friends like these, who needs enemies? How would you survive beyond the comfortable walls of your world? For Starla, a struggle for power becomes a struggle for survival when she finds herself on the wrong side of the wall. Fleeing her abductors and lost in the wasteland, she faces starvation, warring factions, bloodthirsty creatures, and the endless burning sun. And then there's Ari. Who is she really? And can she really trust this girl from the wasteland to lead her back to the city gates? One thing's for sure, Starla's once privileged life will never be the same. Hello everyone, and welcome once again to the Heir's Lair. I'm your host, Jonathan Taylor. I'm once again filming with my typical camera, this time in a new location, because as I've already said before, in my previous video, I've moved out, and I thought I would use this first video to start talking about a trilogy of books. Because yes, I'm starting another trilogy, I just felt like it, don't at me. This trilogy is called The Adventures of Ari, written by P.J. Sky, and the first book is a girl called Ari. That is the title. The TLDW for the review of this book is, it's a nice book. It has some points it wants to address, and it manages to address them in an entertaining and engaging manner. It is at times sloppy, I'll admit that, and I would have preferred it if the narrative would have allowed a few more peeks behind the curtains of what's going on a page, so to speak. But if you're looking for a quick and thrilling chase and adventure story within a post-apocalyptic setting, especially one that is vaguely Australian, the setting, not the story, well then you're not gonna find anything you won't like within this book. Okay, now that I've gotten the short form of this review out of the way, it's time I get into the long form. The plot of this book follows Starla Corinth, the daughter of the mayor of the only large settlement / major city known to exist within a post-apocalyptic setting. Through no fault of her own, Starla finds herself outside of the city walls for the first time in her life. And she has to struggle to survive while she tries to get back to her childhood home in order to figure out what's been going on and how it is that she ended up in the wasteland outside of the city. Helping her on her quest is Ari, a mysterious girl who seems to be about the same age as her, with a mysterious connection to the city. What that connection exactly is, I won't reveal in this video because, spoilers. So now that I've gotten the premise out of the way, what is it about this book that makes it noteworthy? Well, there are several things. First among them being how the author manages to use the perspective to reveal various pieces of information in a very naturalistic and easy to follow way. In the beginning of the story, it seems as though the large city, which I don't think is given a name in this book, is believed to be the only settlement that exists in this post-apocalyptic setting. However, once the perspective shifts to the outside, the readers get to learn that not only are there other settlements within the wasteland and within this setting, but they also have a complex network of connections and interactions, both towards each other and towards the city itself. What these connections are is not explored particularly in depth. Perhaps because these relations in and of themselves are quite shallow, or more likely because these connections aren't directly relevant to the adventure narrative that the two leads embark upon. And within this, and it is within this adventure narrative that I think PJ's, or that I think Sky's, no, how should I call this author? By their initials or by the last name? I'm gonna go with last name. And it is within this part of the narrative that Sky's strengths as an author, really come to life in how they are able to write immersively, and in how they are able to explore the thoughts of their characters as these characters interact with the world and with the new environments that are presented to them. Starla is noticeably out of her depth within this strange new setting, and does need a lot of assistance to to go through it. However, she does have other strengths that the narrative does a great job at exploring when the time is right, and it also does a great job at showcasing how she develops as she encounters various hardships. Nevertheless, the standout character of the story is the titular character Ari, and that shines right through in how it is that she is explored, and in how her thoughts really jump off the page. How she thinks of her lot in life, how she solves problems, what it is that she looks for when she wants to get stuff done. All of that makes her a very memorable and very interesting character to follow through. And you absolutely understand what it is that makes her what it is that makes her intriguing, and what it is that is, and you might in time actually end up being as fascinated by her as the as Starla ends up being. I only wish that other characters would receive the same level of depth. Starla does receive it. Her best friend / close acquaintance from the city also gets some of it, but really there are a lot of other characters who do not get that level of in-depth exploration. Even though I would argue that the story or the exploration of the setting would benefit from it. But I guess if Sky were to blow their load now, they wouldn't have the the rest of the trilogy to explore. So I'm willing to let that slide for now, even if begrudgingly. What I am less willing to slide is how sparsely the environment is described, because it is basically presented as a wasteland, but with certain exceptions, like the formations, former settlements, current settlements, etc. However, even when the narrative requires that broader explanations or explorations of the setting are given, the narrative doesn't really do that, or it does so in a less than stellar way, if I am to be quite generous. And that leaves a lot of the action sequences a bit muddled, especially if they stretch over long distances or large areas. When they are up close and personal, you as the reader can absolutely become absolutely engrossed in it. But if the action scene stretches out over larger spaces, the readership is absolutely bound to get lost in the shuffle and not figure out what's supposed to be going on, because the spatial relations between the various features of a location are presented in a very slim, very unsatisfactory way, unfortunate as that is. Overall, while I think the intention of this book has been well executed, the details surrounding the core, the structure that the plot is supposed to be based on, isn't as well developed as I really think it should have been. So my final rating for A Girl Called Ari, and by that I mean the book, not the character, is a 3 out of 5. And yeah, that was my review. Thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed this video, then please leave a like, maybe even share it wherever you think other people will like it as well. If you have anything you'd like to add to the review or to the book itself or my presentation of it, that's what the comment section is for. And if you want to see when my next video gets released, well then please subscribe. And ideally also ring the bell or do whatever else YouTube will ask of you in order to keep you notified. My own book, Heir to the Empire Next Generation, is available under most major book retailers, and with most major book retailers, under a master link in the description down below. Right past all of my social media links, which I also suggest you check out, should you choose to. I also have a Patreon linked down there in the description, in case you want to support me more directly, as well as receive certain benefits, like early access to videos or access to my video scripts. But then again, that's all up to you. Until next time, I am Jonathan Taylor, and this has been the Heir's Lair.